In today's lesson, we learned about graphing linear inequalities. So a couple things to remember is that when we graph linear inequalities, we have to look at our symbol, whether it's a less than, a greater than, a less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to determine several things. The first thing is it tells us what type of line we're going to use. If our symbol is a less than or a greater than, our line is dashed. If our symbol is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, the line is solid. And that's because there's this solid line underneath as well. And then when we have the other part of it is our shading. So the less than tells us to shade down. Greater than tells us to shade up. That's true for less than or equal to, we're going to shade down. And greater than or equal to, we're going to shade up. So if we need to decide if points are solutions, remember that if points are solutions for an inequality, they're in the shaded area or on the solid line. So if this line is solid and there's a point on there, it's a solution. And any point that's down here in this shaded area is also going to be a solution. So we're going to plot our points and see what happens. So our first ordered pair is the ordered pair -2, 4, which means I'm going to go to the left 2 and I'm going to go up 4. I'm going to go ahead and put my point there. And then I'm going to go ahead and plot all of them. My next point is +3, 1, 2, 3, and up 6. My next point is 4, -2, which means I'm going to go to the right 4 and then down 2. My next point is 5, 5, which means I'm going to go to the right 5 and up 5. Then I have the ordered pair 10, 3, which means I'm going to go right 3 and up 3. And lastly, I have the ordered pair 0, 0, which is going to be at the origin. So my points that are solutions, remember, are the points that are going to be in this shaded area over here. So I end up with 2 solutions. My first one is going to be 4, -2, because that point was here in the shaded area. My second point that solution is going to be 10, 3, because that point was also in the shaded area. So it is very obvious that my pink one is not a solution, my blue is not a solution, and the orange is not a solution, because notice the pink, the blue, and the orange, all 3 of these points are definitely not in the shaded area. The question is this point, the green point, which is 5, 5, is it a solution? So notice it's on our line, but it says it's a solution if it's on a solid line. This line is not solid, so that means that 5, 5 is not a solution. If we wanted to graph 3x minus 2y is less than or equal to 4, first we need to do is we need to solve this for y, which means we need y's on one side and everything else on the other. So we're going to begin by moving the 3x, which is currently positive, to the right side, and it's going to become negative, and then it cancels out. To get rid of my -2x, I have to do the opposite, which is to divide by a -2x. So I'm going to divide everything by -2, and these cancel. So I'm left with y. And then 4 divided by -2 is -2. And -3 over a -2 is a positive 3 over 2x. So notice I left the sign blank here. We have a less than or equal to, but notice we divided by a -2, so that means that our inequality sign is going to flip directions. We called that a lot of times our red flag rule. So this red flag is because this inequality sign needs to change directions. So my y-intercept is the number that's by itself, because it's my b value. It is -2. My slope is +3 over 2. The positive tells me to go up, and the positive on the denominator tells me to go right. So I can go up and right, or I can do the opposite of that, which is to go down and left. So starting from the point I already have where I begin, because it's my b value, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go over 2 and put a point. I'm going to do it again, go up 3 and over 2, and up 3 and to the right 2. And up 3 and to the right 2 again. And I could also go back to my starting point and go down 3 and left 2. And I could repeat that process several times. So looking at my inequality symbol, notice my symbol is a greater than or equal to. Well, this equal to part here, first of all, tells me that my line is going to be a completely solid line. And then the greater than part of this the greater than part of this tells me that I need to shade above the line. So I'm going to go to my line. I'm just going to start drawing arrows straight up from my line so that I can see which half of the line I need to shade. And so I need to shade this top half over here. So all these points in this purple shaded area are going to be my solutions. If we wanted to find the equation of this line, we would need several things to figure that out. One of the first things we're going to need is our slope. We're also going to need our y-intercept, and then we're going to need to figure out what our symbol is going to be, whether it's a less than or greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So m, our slope, we need 2 points. Let's go ahead and find our y-intercept first. So my y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis, which would be right here, at the point -3. So that's the first thing we know. Second thing we know is just looking at our slope, the right end is pointing up, so we know it's going to be positive, that's for sure. In order to find our slope, we need another point. So we've got to look on our line for good, clean points. There's several we could pick from. I'm going to pick the ordered pair 6, 1. And then to find my slope, I need to rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, and run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, up and right are both positive directions, so it'll be 4 divided by 6, which I can reduce to 2/3. So when I look at my line, to figure out my shading, I need to figure out which direction the line is shaded. So I'm going to pick a point on the line, and I've got to decide if I draw an arrow up or if I draw an arrow down, which one will take me to the shaded area. Notice that when my up arrow ended up in the shaded area, so that tells me my symbol is going to be a greater than. And then I look at my line, and my line here in this graph is a completely solid line, so that tells me it's going to be equal to. So my inequality is going to be y is greater than or equal to 2/3 x minus 3.